everybody! So today I'm bringing you yet another installment of One Take Reviews where I can't edit because my computer is broken. I'm bound to make some mistakes and say some things wrong, and there just is no editing at all. So here we go! Today I'm going to be editing. Great, first mistake. I'm going to be reviewing The Martian by Andy Weir. I'm very late to the game in reading this. I realize it became popular several years ago. There's a movie, don't know if you heard about it. But yeah, I just now got to it. I bought it in California when I was traveling. So here we go. First off, I have some thoughts. I also have some notes. Let's see, author background. So Andy Weir apparently just loves physics and space travel and researches this kind of thing for fun. He says that he's been doing that ever since he was little, and I think you can really tell in this book because of the way he talks through these really technical problems and the flight plans and stuff that the ships take. You try saying that the ships take. Okay, that wasn't that bad. Anyway, the point is, Andy Weir is a giant nerd, and I mean that in 100% a nice way, and you can really read and feel how much he is passionate about these scientific topics in this book, which I think is a really strong point. Another strong point of this book is that it is very technical, which I kind of just said, but so if you don't know, the main character is Mark Watney. He's stranded on Mars because of a sandstorm or a dust storm blew over his spaceship. His friends all left him essentially, but they didn't know. They thought he was dead. So he's basically trapped on Mars. And he, through his ingenuity and perseverance and motivation to live, he ends up living on Mars and sort of MacGyvers the remaining space parts and everything so that he can live. So that's pretty cool. He also encounters a lot of problems, and usually they're technical problems. So with the water converter or the oxygen maker or the carbon dioxide reuptake machine, he learns how to grow potatoes on Mars, which was actually very interesting to me because, you know, how is that possible? I don't know, but it's all very well and lovingly thought out in this book, which I find really cool. And I found that way more interesting than trying to read something about, you know, Martian or an astronaut gets stranded on Mars and then actual alien Martians come down and like mess with him. I don't know. I really found this to be more like, what is the term? Like hard sci-fi. I don't know if that's the actual term for it because you can't edit and, you know, find out what it is really quickly. But it definitely fits in the genre, in the subgenre of science fiction called like hard science or hard science fiction, which I love. I really enjoy reading about these more realistic situations instead of just like aliens and meteors and blah 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 blah, which was a big problem in the Leviathan Wakes series. Cibola Burn, I think, which is the one. Okay, that's a tangent. We're doing this in one take. We're gonna leave that alone for right now. Okay. So yes, like I said, the disasters in this book are very lifelike, with two very notable exceptions. The first one, of course, is the beginning, how the sandstorm knocks over the shuttle or something, so he's injured and he can't escape with the rest of his colleagues. So that, I was watching an interview with Andy Weir and Adam Savage, and I think Chris Hadfield, who is an actual astronaut, which is totally awesome, and they were discussing how that sandstorm is actually not possible, according to science. So there you go. That's not very realistic and is also a critically important plot point that happens because that's what strands him on Mars anyway. So the second thing that I thought was kind of like more unbelievable was the ending. So I will talk about, as I usually do, spoilers at the very end. I'll wave my arms around so you know when to pause or skip if you don't want to see that, but I will be discussing the ending at the end of this video. Let's see. Okay, so although those are two downsides of this book, the beginning and the end, which seems kind of like a big deal, honestly the middle of the book, or the entirety of him figuring out how to live and then how to get off of Mars, are so incredibly like entertaining, fascinating, and like pseudo educational. It's totally worth it. So I would say This is like a 3.2 to 3.7 out of 5 for me. Meaning I'm probably not going to reread it anytime soon, but it's really fun. I read it in like 2 or 3 days, and I would totally recommend it to people, so hence the slightly higher rating than like, I don't know, just a flat 3. So yeah, other parts that I really liked how Mark, I mean, slight spoilers here, Mark communicates with NASA back on Earth. He figures out how to do that. How we get to go into like a third-person view of the people on Earth as they figure out that he's not dead, and they are trying to figure out how to get him back off. I thought that was really, really cool. Very, very interesting. And the other strength of this book is that Andy Weir said that he wrote Mark like the way that he would talk, the way that Andy Weir himself would talk. And so Mark is quite funny. He's really interesting. There is some cursing in this book. If that's something that bothers you, you know, it exists, but it's really fine. The humor is great. The humor is very on point, I think. And that's also really interesting because that's very realistic. People, like surgeons, I've shadowed a surgeon once, and, you know, you're literally belly deep into somebody's stomach, and you're just like making jokes because, you know, it's a very high stakes situation, and you need to have a sense of humor so you can get through it, kind of like with your mind intact. And I think that was really cool to have the humor, because it could be a very bad situation, and it's also fun because humor is, you know, fun. All right, spoilers part of the video. Here we go. Okay, so the end of this book, I did not much care for it, to be 100% honest. I'm really glad that Mark was rescued, but I didn't like how he was rescued with the, like, how they tore apart or he tore apart the MAV, little launchy spaceship shuttle thing. I'm sorry, I'm bad with the terminology. I finished this book like 2 weeks ago, so I've forgotten the exact terminology. But he essentially catapults himself into space in a thing that doesn't even have like a windshield on it, and then they come and like literally scoop him up, and they take him back on Hermes, which is, whoa, arm flapping around here, which is the spaceship that his fellow astronauts are on. They came back around to come get him. I don't know anything about physics, like really anything, and I took like 2 years of, I took 1 year of physics in college. I don't know if that's possible to do what they did at the end. Obviously, it's not something that has happened in this world, but I do feel like it kind of broke away from the really realistic middle of the book, and then it became kind of like fairy tale, super sci-fi. So pretty much that's it. That's how I feel about The Martian. Definitely worth reading if you're interested in sci-fi or hard sci-fi. Really fun book. So 2 thumbs, 3.3 to 3.7 out of 5. All right, that's everything I have for you today. Wow, my posture is terrible. Anyway, that's everything I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you would like to see more one-take book reviews where I get a little rambly, but I tell you all my thoughts about a particular book, as well as other videos such as travel vlogs and cat videos and all that stuff. I don't really fit in a genre on this channel. So there you go. I hope you all have wonderful weeks, and I will see you in another video next week, I think. Maybe.